Hi there and welcome back. It's Carol from Crinkled Path Journals. I'm here today to start my new memory keeping altered book. I'm glad you're here, and I thought because I did paper dolls in my first book that I might try something a little different that also was a part of my childhood, and that is fashion plates. And I thought I would make some dolls to put on the cover. Let's just call them dolls because I'm going to cut them out like a paper doll. This is my original set from 1978. The box is worse for wear. I played with it, my kids played with it, so it's gotten a lot of use over the years. So the box is barely hanging on, but the set is doing great. So let me show you here. This is where the extra tiles are kept, and this is where you actually make your imprint, and I'll show you that in just a second. This is the one I did this morning, and they always kind of have this rough appearance just because they're not perfect, but I can also give you some tips if you have a fashion plate and you want to incorporate it into your journaling, how to clean up the lines a little bit. So we'll try that in a minute. Let's go ahead and do one. Just place them in like that, and then you take your piece of paper and you put it here. If you're worried about it moving, you can use a little piece of tape along the edge. I usually just hold the frame down tight. These are what you use to bring the lines out. It's just a piece of black crayon in this little handle, and you just sort of gently start rubbing. Until you have the complete picture. Now, I've done these once in my journaling Bible, so let me show you that. This was my first journaling Bible that I used for 2 years. See how she's so nice and clean? It's because I used a very sharp pencil and I was very careful to just go along the lines. And then I did color in or trace over to add some more detail to her eyes and the detail of the lace on her dress. My set's from the 70s. I also have a set from the 80s, but I just have the tiles for those. So it's got kind of some Western wear, some workout clothes, some different faces and hairstyles. Definitely more 80s big hair. Western skirts, another prairie skirt, leg warmers, you know. So as we get into the 80s, I may revisit this and use the later set for that. On the backs of the tiles, there are patterns. And so you just pop the pattern tile in. Lay this over again, and then So I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I can definitely see it here. It's a large flower pattern. The crayons are going to have less crisp of a look, and so I recommend doing it with colored pencil instead of crayons if you have a set. Before I move on to that though, I wanted to let you know that I have one set. This is from around 2015. I'll review the entire contents at the end of the video so you can check that out there. The tiles are all in great condition. This has a little bit of wear. This elastic is coming away right here. If someone would like to purchase this, I'm going to sell it for $8 plus the shipping. I haven't seen it listed that inexpensively anywhere on the internet, but I just thought it might be fun to go ahead and do this as a little trial on my Instagram. So if you're interested in this, just comment on the picture, me or mine, and then direct message me your zip code and your PayPal email address, and I will send you an invoice for the amount of shipping to your zip code and the $8. So be watching for that on Instagram. My Instagram account is also Crinkled Path, so I hope you'll find me there. Now I'm going to try some with some pattern paper that's very thin, and I'm going to try to use my Prismacolor pencils to do this. I'm just going to tear a piece of this off. I think I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. Using a thinner paper is going to help your lines be crisper, but it also wants to fold on itself a little more when you're applying pressure. So that's why I'm taping it down. It also will have a more subtle color. If you're doing this on bright white paper, of course your colors are going to be more vibrant and bold, and I just think I want to try it with this sewing paper. I'm going to try some soft lead and see if that works better. I'm just pressing gently to kind of get a little bit of like an embossing so I can see where the lines are. I want to keep a light touch, and I want to go perpendicular to the line to get the crispest image. I feel like that worked out much clearer than the crayon, and the nice thing about the pencil is that I can actually go in here where it has smudged a little bit and just take my little tiny eraser and clean it up a bit. The clarity on this far surpasses anything I was able to do with them as a kid. Put our pattern, and so now let's get some Prismacolor pencils to get some color going in here. Sharpening my pencil and now it's too sharp, poking holes in the paper. Okay, well, I don't know if you can see that very well as far away as I had it. I love how it turned out. I'm a little unhappy about poking holes in it. Probably if I had glued it down first and then colored it, I wouldn't have had the problem with the paper ripping as much. But they're tiny little holes, and since I'm just going to be decoupaging it onto the page, I think the holes will be less noticeable. I'm going to go ahead and do another one, and then I'll bring you back to work on the cover with me. I finished my two fashion plate dolls, colored them, and fussy cut them, spared you watching that. And so I'm ready to cover my book now. I have grabbed a few things. I have this music that a child colored all over. I really like the illustrations, but because they're colored on, I thought it would make a good background. So that's a possibility. I'm thinking maybe this one because the picture isn't as colored on as the music. And since we're probably going to partially cover it up, I'm not sure, maybe at the top there or on the side. I have a large collection of hankies from my aunt who passed on some of hers, some of my grandmother Hertz's, and also some that my mom had collected. So I have a lot of hankies, and I was thinking that I want to start using them in my books. And so I thought it might also make a nice background. Kind of once, because this is see-through. See, if I just use this to cover the book, you're still going to be able to read through. So I was thinking if I put this underneath, that it would be a little better. Because then you'd see the music through and not the cookbook. But it's not quite tall enough. That's one idea that's formulating. I think maybe I'm going to trim as much of the white off as I can. So this goes a little further this way. And then the edge of the book is right about where this music line is. I don't know. One hanky or two in a layered. And then I also have this music. I don't know if I was writing my own song or trying to pick out a tune on the piano, but I actually played it on the piano this morning to see if it was a familiar tune, and it isn't. So I'm not sure what I was doing, but for some reason I had it saved in with my old piano and flute music. So I was thinking maybe that are two fashion plate girls. So that's a lot of stuff going on. It's wider than my sheet, so I think I'm gonna have to kind of pare down a little. But I like the layered look. I'm just not sure how to make it all fit yet. So let's play around with it and see if we can get it together somehow. Oh, and it's hot again today, so I've got the fan going, and these are so light that they just keep blowing away. So I'm gonna put a fashion plate on those so they don't blow away while I'm working on the rest of this. I don't mind the brown edge showing a little bit. Maybe I'll kind of outline cut this. My tip is clogged. Okay, so the other day I had a stainless steel pin in this and I lost it when I was crafting, and I just grabbed the next pin on my little tomato pin cushion. And this one is not stainless steel because just the short amount of time it's been in there, it's rusting, and that's why the glue is this color. So I'm going to throw that away. I'm going to have to look for a different pin. And I do believe it's the rust that is clogging up my tip. So you can see when you use just the regular plastic tip that comes on the bottle, it uses a lot more glue, and you don't really need that much for this to stick, and so it's kind of a waste not to use that finer tip. So I've got to get that solved. Gonna bring that up as close as I can. And then I'm not going to glue it out here on the very edge. I'm going to glue it where these words are, and then it'll kind of flip a little bit so that you can see what's under it. I finally got a new bottle of Fabri-Tac since my last one. It was kind of down to the end, and I put it upside down in a jar, and the tip is not very leak proof. And so it kind of went everywhere in the jar and then turned into a giant glob of stickiness, and I ended up having to pry it out. You can see there's a little bit left in the bottom, but it was a giant glob about that big in the bottom, and I pulled it out and threw it away, and learned from my mistake. You can't really leave it upside down with just the tip that comes on it. All right, now I'm going to go all the way to this other edge with it. Try and keep a nice thin layer. I really don't like to touch the stuff, but I want to spread it a little thinner so that I don't have big globs coming through my fabric on my hanky. I need to grab my pinking shears. Now I want to check this. This bottle is different than the other ones I've had. It's a little smaller, but it has a bigger opening at the top. Again, I'm using Art Basics gesso because it's smooth, unlike art quality gesso that has a grit in it to help paint stick to it. This I use like Mod Podge, but Mod Podge absorbs moisture from the air, so it tends to get sticky, and I don't want the covers of my journals or my pages of my journals to stick together. On the back, just a thin layer, and then it'll dry fairly quickly because I'm not putting much on there, and then I'll put a layer over the top. Because this is pattern paper that I drew them on, it's like tissue paper or like napkins. You can do this technique with napkins with images already printed on them. You can also paint on a napkin or draw on a napkin the white layer that's between, and then you can glue it down with this. Prismacolor pencils are very waxy, and so using a wet medium over them will not cause them to run unless you're blending with odorless mineral spirits, which I've talked about and demonstrated in one of my previous videos. Okay, putting it on her first didn't really work, so I'm gonna just do it as I go, I guess. Also, because of the heat today, I think things are drying very quickly. And this one, I'm just going to glue around 3 edges so that I can use it as a pocket. I'm going to start by doing this edge first. Okay, last but not least, last but not least, we have lace. And I'm thinking I just want to put a little bit along here to cover up the pinking cut. Let's see, we could go down this edge as well. Okay, it's either that or this, and not putting it on the edge. And maybe I could put a piece there too, but I don't know. I kind of think I just like it at the top and the bottom. Yeah, I think I'm going with that. The end is a little frayed here, so I'm just going to cut that off. Try and keep this a very thin bead so it doesn't poke up through the holes. And then down here. Yep, I like that. I ironed this, but it really wants to pop up. So I think I'm just going to give it a couple tiny little tacks of glue so that it's not constantly wrinkled and annoying me. Stay stuck to the page and not my finger would be the hope. Ugh, stuff is sticky. Which is why it's so fabulous and so not fun to work with sometimes when you're working with things with holes in it. All right, better. Fingers are a mess, but this is better. My hands are pretty thrashed. I've been gardening, and for those of you who were around when I was showing you my great nail polish from the wedding, it completely like destroyed my nails to have that put on and have it taken off. And that's one of the reasons I don't get it done very often. Plus, I'm just horribly hard on my hands with all the things that I do on the farm and my crafting. So they're just, my hands are well loved, well used, I guess. All right, now I want to find something to put in this pocket. I have these vintage gardening cards. This one has the orange and the pink and the green. Not exactly my favorite type of flower. This one has the brown, and there's a little bit of purple in this guy's jacket here. That's a possibility. That one's bright. Let's see. There's yellow and purple. I think I actually like this one just because it has more green. Yeah, I think that's gonna win. I'm going to use some of our paper to line the back of it so I can make a journaling spot. If you hear bumps in the night, it's not nighttime, but if you hear strange bumping around noises, I'm babysitting my grand cat, and he's a little bored right now, and I opened my storage room and he really wanted to go explore in the boxes in there, and I didn't let him. And so now he's being a little wild and crazy and running around and jumping up on all these things around me. So there's my funny little lines for my music. Here's this. If I can find a postcard somewhere along the line that fits in there, I may add that too. Who knows? I may put, oh, we can just use a little piece of this. Where'd the end go? Okay. We can do a little piece of this on there too, so we can pull it as a tab to pull it out. There we go. Well, I like that because now we got the 3 points with lace. We have this kind of orange yellow here, and in the flower and in her dress we've got green, 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 yellow, yellow. It's coming together. We might want a little yellow button on here too. Let me pull my button box. Okay, let's find a button. My crazy big button box. Oh, nice. Yellow's right on top. I want this really pale yellow that's a little too bright, in her hat and in the, that's better, that's in the hanky and her hat, and so that's a better match. Let's see what else. This little yellow heart bead is cute. It's almost white. It looks yellow when it's in the bag with all the yellow things. Yep. That. You can put one, I don't know, that hearts are kind of thick. I don't want them to get pulled off when I'm putting the book on and off the shelf. I think I'll stick with that. Sometimes I have a hard time knowing exactly where to stop and don't want to do too much, but I also feel like right now when I kind of squint my eyes and look at this, my focal attention goes straight to this line in the center, and I would like it to blend a little better, so I think I'm going to go ahead and put a little tiny strip of music down in there. I'm going to start big because I can always cut it smaller. Okay, the whole thing is too big, of course. I have to re-glue this. I like that. Okay, let's go ahead and cut off our first chick. All right, I'm liking how this has come together now. I feel like my eye travels across it now instead of getting stuck on that hard line. I like that it's kind of starting out with a few very precious things like my hankies from my hanky collection, music, and my handwritten scribbled music that who knows what great masterpiece that was going to be. And then it has my fashion plate girls, and I used to love playing with those and all the combinations that they entailed, and I remember also my girls playing with them too. So lots of special things on our cover. I hope you will join me in future episodes to fill in the pages, and this will be similar to my last one. If you haven't watched any of my previous videos, there is a playlist for the memory keeping videos. I pulled out most of the pages. I did leave more than I used in my last book. I can always pull more out as I go if it starts getting too alligator mouth. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed and you like the memory keeping junk journal episodes, please subscribe so that you don't miss any, and hit your notification bell so that you get notifications when a new video goes up. I am usually posting about twice a week. I'm going to review the purchase again real quick before I go. So this is what's going to be listed on my Instagram. It will just be a post with some pictures of this and probably the cover of the journal. And if you are a YouTube subscriber, that gives you a bit of a jump start on if you would like to purchase this. Again, it is a set from 2015. It is complete. Girl with the long braid, long hair, and like a fedora hat, polka dots, flowers, and a houndstooth print on the back of those for the patterns. The shirts are a dressy, strappy gown top with a purse, some pearls, and a t-shirt, a jean jacket. And on the back of these are paisley, almost like a rainbow texture, or fish scales, a plaid. And then these are faces. There's the ponytail girl, and she has like a alligator skin on the back. This girl with her curly hair, a little dot pattern on there. I've got a bun, and that is a link pattern. It has the tool for tracing over if you don't want to use the pencil. On the bottom we have skinny cropped jeans with a argyle pattern on the back. We have yoga pants with, it's like the shape of an eye. I don't know what kind of pattern you call that. We have a waterfall skirt, and that has floral pattern on the back. We have boots with a short skirt with a chevron pattern. We have a mini skirt with an ivy pattern on the back. We have shorts with a striped diagonal pattern on the back. We have colored pencils that came with the set. They have been used and will need to be sharpened, but there's still plenty of them left, although I'm gonna guess if you're like me, you use whatever pencils you have because you have a wider variety of colors probably. And there's the instructions. So again, I'm asking $8 and shipping to your zip code. I do not ship internationally at this time, so sorry if you're watching from outside the United States. To claim, comment me or mine on the Instagram post, and then direct message me your zip code and your PayPal email account. And then I do allow backups. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you'll be back for more episodes in this. I'm still working on my flight journal, and so I'll be posting those days alternating from this. I'm so happy to have subscribers who are leaving kind comments, and I thank you for coming along. Bye-bye.